Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we are talking about Texas Tech football. I am joined by Albie Shore, who is the host of the Tortillas and Takes podcast. Albie, we have been doing this now for about the last 3 or 4 years. I have you on in the offseason. You come in, you hype up Texas Tech, and about every single year, you're very optimistic about your team. And then they kind of end up maybe disappointing a little bit in some of these seasons. But this offseason seems a lot different. And really, the biggest difference is one Mr. Cody Campbell, who decided to open up his wallet book for Texas Tech this offseason and did a really good job of really loading up this roster with incredible transfer talent. Before we get into some of the players and coaches on this team today, who is Cody Campbell, and why does he love Texas Tech so much?
Cody Campbell is our official bag man, big bag man, I should say. So Cody Campbell actually used to play for Texas Tech about 20 years ago. Played under Mike Leach, was an offensive lineman. He was okay as a player. Went in the NFL for like a year or two, I want to say. Didn't make it, and then decided to get into the he went into sales like all washed up college athletes do. And really, I mean, and actually, Shahan Jayaraja just put out an incredible article on CBS Sports that really detailed, and a lot of it actually in that article I didn't even know about, and a lot of tech people didn't either. But really kind of talked about in that article. One piece of it was talking about Cody Campbell's rise. Right, it's not like he was some rich kid that got a $1 million loan.
Wasn't born on third base.
Wasn't born on third base. Like he really, obviously, with some luck that ended up getting him to where he is, but he was able to kind of build this oil and gas business, double eagle. And it was him and Tim Sellers, who was also used to play for Texas Tech, right? And so they built this big oil company, and recently, so he was already a multimillionaire. He recently sold the company, and both of them are now billionaires with the B. It's a great time to be a billionaire in the United States of America, if you don't know. And so he recently sold his company. And so Cody Campbell and Sellers and the Sellers family have been donating to Tech for a while, right? I've told people for years, to anyone who has an open that Tech has never been lacking money. Okay, I don't know where people think the Tech doesn't have money. We have money. Now, we've never spent it to the levels of Texas and Texas A&M. But Baylor, Oklahoma State, hush. You can't compete. Okay, we have money. But we just haven't flexed it to this amount, right? I think I would actually argue Dustin Womble, who invests a lot in the basketball program, has flexed it more than anyone. This is the reason why our basketball facilities are incredible, right? And so what ended up happening is kind of an interesting combination of a bunch of things. So Dustin Womble invested into the basketball program for both the men and women's basketball side. We have a brand new, nice facility. Cody Campbell decided, this really all started probably about a decade plus ago, starting with, and on the football side, with the fact that Texas Tech for the longest time in the 2010s and the late 2000s and the 2010s did not have an indoor football facility. They used to have to borrow the local high school that had an indoor practice facility, which was wildly embarrassing. Right. Yeah. It's crazy. It's 2010 and they don't have an indoor practice facility. It's really kind of crazy and embarrassing. It's one of the things that current U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, which is disgusting, hated about the fact that Tech did not have an indoor training facility. So they really all started at that time when Cody Campbell and Dustin Womble, some of the boosters, said, we got to stop that. Let's invest to make sure we had an indoor training facility. Then years later, it's like, well, we need to upgrade our facility in general. So they upgraded it the first time. Then we're going to put a massive investment to upgrade football. Basketball just got upgraded to upgrade football in general. That's the locker room. That's the re-updating the indoor training facility. That's appearing on that YouTube channel that visits all the facilities in general, right? Like they wanted to make it to where it's the best in the nation, where it is, if you go to Texas Tech and you go to LSU and Alabama, the same, right? And I would argue that they've done that. I watch all of those videos. So the royal key over there, and it's comparing, right? Um, the funny thing about all that is, by the time this opened, was also the time when NIL becomes a huge thing. And what ends up happening is a lot of programs decide, well, we don't want to invest in our facilities because we want to pay our players. We have to find money to pay our players. Well, Cody Campbell is like, well, I can do both. Okay, listen, bro, boys, I can do both, right? And so Cody Campbell decides, hey, I can see the future. I can see everything going on in NIL. Eventually, somebody's going to step in here and say that everybody has to revenue share, and they're going to kind of limit NIL. They're going to kind of put the rules will be put in place. Rules that probably should have been put in place by the NCAA when this whole thing first started is going to happen eventually because a little bit of the Wild Wild West. Congress is now getting somewhat involved. Trump recently talked about it, right? So eventually, this is all going to stop. But before it does, I want to put Texas Tech in the humanly best position possible to really put our best foot forward. And so this was the year. So Cody Campbell worked with Coach McGuire to come forward with a plan.
Well,
this is the year we want to do it.
So basically, kind of like heading back to like last year too, if we're kind of looking at Texas Tech's team, basically that team, we'll get into some of this stuff a little bit more in detail here in a minute, but defense, one of the worst in all college football last year. And then against Colorado, Bear Morton is getting the crap kicked out of him. I think Colorado had like 7 sacks in that game. And then Cody Campbell basically says on social media, I will fix this. I will invest in a lot of players on this team. And it was reported today by Pete Nakos, trust the number or not, but this team this year is a $28 million roster according to a lot of the reporting around it. So
the number ain't fake, I'll tell you that much.
It's close. It's certainly close. But so I look at a lot of the players that got added, 12 4-star transfer portal guys. You're starting to see some of the high school commitments roll around too. You're starting to see a lot of people on social media, act like, oh my God, this is like Texas A&M a few years ago. Is all of this added talent and all of this extra spending heading into this program, is this something that is kind of building up the expectations and the pressure on Joey McGuire where, if he's not getting at least like 9-10 wins this year, he's going to start getting on the hot seat?
Absolutely. So I'll say this, because somebody asked me this question earlier this offseason. If somebody said if Joey McGuire goes 7-5, would he get fired? No, Joey McGuire is so beloved at Texas Tech. He is so far ahead that 7-5 wouldn't do. However, I will say this. This is what I will say. Last year, I think, was the first time where the Joey McGuire love had kind of rubbed off a little bit, right? For the first 2 years, Joey could do no wrong. Up until the Wyoming game. The Wyoming game, he did a lot of wrong. People were pissed. But outside of that Wyoming loss in year 2, Joey was very beloved in Lubbock. I mean, hell, first year at Tech, first winning conference season since Tuberville. Beating both Texas and Oklahoma. That was the year where he said the country's going to find out everything runs through Lubbock. Oh, he was on cloud 9, and so, but last year it kind of really rubbed off, right? We had, like you mentioned, we had the worst defense in the Big 12. Though the offensive stats looked good, a lot of the decisions did not, right? And so some people, me included, started questioning Joey as a head coach. And one of the things I mentioned was this offseason, right, the defensive coordinator was fired, and the offensive coordinator went to go get a new job at Florida Atlantic. So the excuses and the scapegoats are kind of left the building, and all eyes are on Joe. And so then, not only did that happen, but yeah, we have the top 2 transfer portal class, depending on who you ask. It's either number 1 or number 2. And it's a $28 million roster, right? I know you compared it to A&M. One of the biggest things that I think is different from A&M is that we didn't do it through unproven talent that you have to develop. These are guys that are, from transfer portal, juniors and seniors that are developed. Howard Sampson, he's developed. All right, he is one of the reasons why I think both Drake May and Omarion Hampton look so great in North Carolina the last couple of years is because of Sampson right there. And so, like, these guys are David Bailey is developed, right? So it's people are expecting immediate success. People are expecting this year to be it, right? Like 8 wins is not going to cut it. People are not going to be happy with 8 wins this year. That's just not. It's not going to be enough to light torches and come to his house or anything like that. But like it ain't going to be. People aren't going to be happy with it. I think it's if we don't get to Arlington, it's going to be looked at as a disappointment.
I mean, right now, third in the odds to win the Big 12. I believe they're behind Arizona State and Kansas State, if my memory is correct.
Yeah.
I checked right before we started recording. But like you said, though, even though there's a lot of high expectations for this team this year, basically a whole new offensive line, 2 new coordinators. Let's start with that offense, though. You guys got Mac Leftwich, who's spent the last few seasons at Texas State. Is this going to be kind of a similar type of offense that you guys ran before? Or what kind of, or is things going to change up a little bit? What's Texas Tech going to be looking like on offense this year?
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be different. I mean, there's no doubt it's definitely going to be a little bit different. It's still a fast.
Todd Brooks isn't there to like miss like 4 tackles every play.
No, but it is still a fast paced offense, right? It ain't Texas Tech if it's not a fast paced offense. But it is going to be a little bit different. I think Mac Leftwich is claim to fame. The thing that he can always hold his hat on is he is the guy that quote unquote discovered Cam Ward. Right, he helped recruit Cam Ward at Incarnate Word. He was his first quarterback coach at Incarnate Word, and then actually talking to Baron Morton, Mac Leftwich had Baron Morton study Cam Ward tape at Incarnate Word to be like, this is the type of offense we're about to run, right? And so, and mind you, I know it's easy for a coach to kind of hang his hat on all the things that a star #1 draft pick does. But I give Mac Leftwich this credit. I mean, Texas State was balling, right? Texas State had a really good year the last couple seasons too. With him being,
they went toe to toe with Arizona State early on in the year.
Went toe to toe. They led the Sun Belt in offense, right? Led the Sun Belt in offense, and then also not just passing, but averaged 200 yards a game on the ground, right? I think one of the things now we don't have Todd Brooks anymore, but I think one of the things that I don't necessarily want to say that our run team game is better without Tom, because that's just impossible. He's the greatest running back in Texas Tech history. I'll say that. However, the stable that we have now with Quentin Joyner, with McKill Williams, that group that we currently have now, I think as a whole can do a little bit more overall than just one person that we had Todd Brooks last year. And then Mac Leftwich just likes using the running back a little bit more than we've had in a long time, right? And so that I think Baron Morton also. The thing about Baron Morton that people don't realize, he's healthy. He hasn't been healthy for the last 2 years. So I was
going to bring that up.
Yeah, he mentioned it in the Big Ten Media Days. This is the first time he's been healthy since his freshman year. You know what I mean? And so that I think is, and it's funny because the first game he hurt himself. He's been hurt ever since the first game he played against Oklahoma State almost 3 years ago. Like that he's been hurt since then. And so now he's fully healthy. He had surgery in the offseason. He says he feels great. He has videos of him throwing the ball like crazy. If the same Baron Morton that I saw play against Oklahoma State almost 3 years ago, that out of nowhere in Stillwater set it ablaze and was kicking Mike Gundy's ass if not getting hurt. If that guy shows up again, oh man, then the sky really is the limit for this team, because we haven't seen Baron Morton play that good since. Not that he's been bad. I think he's really smart at making good decisions. He doesn't turn the ball over as much, and I like all that. He just hasn't had that X factor since that. And if that X factor is back, then that makes a huge difference, especially on the Mac Leftwich's offense. And then, like you mentioned here with the O-line.
Well, can we stick on Baron Morton first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we not at all concerned that the ghost of Tyler Shuck, who for several years at Texas Tech, this is what you were saying every year is like, oh my God, Tyler Shuck, this is the year. This is the year he's coming back. He's playing Oregon to start off the year.
You're right.
He's going to light up the Big 12. Here we go. And then every year was an injury disappointment. Yeah, that has to be probably the biggest concern with this team is, hey, can he stay healthy? I know that, he's feeling good. He had surgery in the spring, but like that still has to be like just a worry in the back of all Tex fans' minds.
Well, I'll say this. I think, especially if I look at last year where he was hurt the entire year, like I mentioned, he still played. He still was a good game man. Like, at the end of the day, didn't turn the ball over, right? Made smart decisions, lived to fight another day. He was still a good game manager even while playing hurt. Baron Morton's the first quarterback that has played has started last year, was the first Texas quarterback to start all 12 games of the regular season since Pat Mahomes. It was a running joke at a time that we had to make sure our third string quarterback was ready. Because every single year for about 6 years, our third string quarterback started a game. Vincent Testaverde was our fourth string quarterback one year and started a game. It was incredible. Every year we've had this situation happen until last year. So even with our hurt quarterback, he was still a better option than not having your starting quarterback there. Now, I will say where the worry comes in is that if that tradition wears its ugly hat, right? If Baron Morton does come in, he hurts himself, gets actually injured. I know in the offseason, Tech was looking for a potential quarterback transfer to add that little bit of that depth, right? We do have on the team, there is Will Hammond, who was a 4-star recruit out of high school. We saw him a little bit last year. He also played in the bowl game. Didn't play great in the bowl game, but a lot of talent there overall. And then they also got Mitch Griffiths as that transfer quarterback for depth. I think Griffiths and Hammond are currently fighting it out for that back spot. Me personally, I'm not confident in either one of them. So I really need Baron Morton to stick it out for the entire year or not, figure it out, find a way. I'm excited for Hammond's future. I'm not excited for Hammond right now. But yeah, even if Baron has to play hurt the whole year, I'm still happy about a hurt Baron than no Baron.
Well, even too, if he were to miss, like, let's say a game or two, or maybe miss a quarter, like this team just around him is just a lot better. You brought up the offensive line, the wide receiver core looks amazing. You brought up Quentin Joyner, who I didn't realize was only like a sophomore until I was looking through the preview, because I just watched him at USC last year. I thought he was like going to be like I guess I just didn't know about him until last year. So I was like, oh, this guy's like probably like heading off to the NFL next year. But no, he's at Texas Tech right now. And that's normally a guy that's like would be transferring to an SEC school in this current NIL format. So you just have to be like really excited about like just the offensive line and the other weapons around him, that if they're, you know, obviously worst case scenario, one of these guys that you mentioned comes in and has to, you know, spell for a little bit, that they're not just going to be drowning out there. They'll be able to at least just tread water.
Yeah. I like to say Quentin Joyner was Todd Brooks' parting gift. Quentin Joyner and Todd Brooks are really close. Joyner replaced Brooks at Manor High School. So that was the second. Yeah, so the second Joyner put his name in the transfer portal, it was like, oh, there's some possibilities there.
Yeah, let's switch to the defense a little bit, because you undersold it by saying they're the worst in the Big 12. This is one of the worst defenses in all of college. So you're trying to be a little bit slick there. I got the stats right in front of me. They were 121 in just points allowed, 132 in passing yards allowed last season, but big in the transfer portal. Talk to me about the big boys, because I noticed this with Colorado last year, when you really got to see them kind of turn their season around from year one under Dion to year two. A big reason was that they led the Big 12 in sacks all of last year. So who are some of these big guys that are going to be on the Tech line?
So one of my favorite things about the portal this year, and I don't think I've seen Texas Tech pay attention to this since Ruffin McNeil was the defensive coordinator back in 08, is true attention to the trenches. Texas Tech, we're known for quarterback play, we're known for receivers. That's about it. But really paying attention to the trenches. And that, I think, to me, is the biggest thing. I talked about Howard Sampson at the left tackle before, which was a huge signing. I was so happy we got him. But the D-line, it's funny. I saw an article, or not even an article. I think I saw a tweet that listed like the top 10 best defensive linemen in the country in college football next year. And I think number 4 didn't list a player. It was the entire Texas Tech defensive line, right? Because we got David Bailey, who is an NFL prospect. He's going to be drafted in the first 2 days, snatching him from Stanford, which was amazing. I didn't expect that. Skylar Gilhoward, a big boy, 290 pounds, 6'1", grabbing guys like Romello Height. I always say what's funny is last year, Duda Banks was, in my opinion, our best D-line. Duda Banks is going to have to fight for playing time this year. That is the difference between last year's D-line and this year's D-line. It was so many times last year where we said, hey guys, we're just going to drop back and rush 3 or 4, right? And if you have confidence in your D-line, you can do that, right? The Philadelphia Eagles do that all the time. Right? We shouldn't have had confidence in that defensive line last year whatsoever. We should have been blitzing out of necessity. But this team, I really think we really can say, hey, we're going to drop back everybody and just rush 4. And when we're rushing 4 and you got to deal with, okay, they rushed 4, but it's David Bailey, it's Lee Hunter, it's Skylar Gilhoward, it's Romello Height. If those guys get a break, then you still have to deal with Charles Esters, who Charles Esters was our best edge rusher last year, backup this year, right? And it's basically the backups this year are the should have been starters. If Tech didn't go out and buy a whole new D-line, that would have been the starters for Tech this year, and that's the second unit. And so it's this D-line is on paper one of the best D-lines Texas Tech has ever had in our program history, right? I say on paper because it's Tech, man. It's Tech, man. I gotta see it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
gotta see it. I've been hurt too many times. I gotta see it. But on paper, this D-line is incredible.
At least you're honest about it. And the thing too about having like a good defensive line too is that just relieves a lot of pressure for the back half of the defense. Yeah. You guys obviously too went into the transfer portal, upgraded at safety, upgraded on outside at the cornerback positions. But we talked a little bit about Mac Leftwich earlier, the new offensive coordinator for you guys. I feel like Sheil Wood, the new defensive coordinator, has probably got a bigger task, obviously, repairing one of the worst defenses in all college football last year. Tell us a little bit about his background and kind of like his defensive philosophies.
So the Sheil Wood recruitment, to me, is so much funner than Mac Leftwich. Mac Leftwich is, hey, you're a hot upstart offensive coordinator. We think your offense can really fit some of the players that we have here. We're going to pay you a lot of money to leave Texas State. And that's like a tale as old as time. Right? Sheil Wood was, hey, you play in our conference, and with arguably the worst roster in conference, you led the conference. You had one of the better defenses in the conference. Do you want to come to our side? And he was like, oh yeah, but let me check with my Houston and see if they'll maybe match the money. And Houston was like, we can't match the money. Go on and prosper. It's actually kind of a crazy thing. They legitimately said, yeah, no, they paid more money, right? So to say that about an in-conference opponent was amazing. But yeah, no, Sheil Wood, what he did last year with the Cougs is they were the second best. They gave up the second least amount of yards in the conference. That team was terrible. The team was awful. If you watched the Houston Cougs last year whatsoever, I'm sorry. The team was terrible. And to have them, to have them as the second best defense in the conference is pretty amazing. And it was sandwiched right after BYU, who was the best defense in the conference, bar none. So so he did an absolutely incredible job there. I think some of the biggest things that I was worried about with Sheil Wood came is because we've seen guys that have been successful before come to Tech. And it's almost like you have to rewire everything. So I think that one of the things that's really great is the Sheil Wood is coming in with this stable of D-line, right? It's coming in with guys that have been successful elsewhere as well, because there is going to be a bit of rewiring, right? But Cole Wisniewski, who's the safety we're talking about, is coming from North Dakota State. For guys like him, guys like Romello Height, they're sitting here like, we don't have the history of being an awful defense. So you're coming in with half of the defense being new, coming from good programs, and not having the stench of we're the worst defense you've ever seen. right? And so, like, I think that's important, to be honest. I really do think that's important. That so it's not just rewiring everybody of like, hey, all the mistakes you made for the last 3 years, stop making them. It's not. It's you can also have that leadership from some of the new guys, as well as what you're trying to say. He's also a no nonsense type of guy. Like he's not here. A lot of D coordinators are, high fiving their guys and fist bumping and chest and doing this, that, and the other. He's real all about the business. He's like, listen, I come here. He's probably one of the few guys that would leave Houston for Lubbock, right? Like he is very much like all about I'm here for football. This is what I'm here to do. I get paid handsomely to do it. My family is well off because I do football and I do it really well. And so I'm excited to see him on this lead this unit. And I think one thing that also helps, talking about the new guys, but it really helps that you have the best linebacker in the conference, one of the best linebackers in the nation, as well as like his sidekick, like the two best players on this defense. I just mentioned this D line, but I think the two best players on this defense, arguably, are the two linebackers that were already here, Ben Roberts and Jake Roberts. Like those two guys, I've been playing with them on College Football 26 so far. They're amazing. They're awesome in the game. They're awesome in real life. So you have those guys already, and so now, as always, the only thing you got to really worry about is the secondary. And so what I'm hoping is that the front six, front seven take care of business, so it makes the secondary tight.
Okay, I mean, there's always a saying in football, like the X's and O's really don't matter if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes, and you guys might have them both this upcoming season. If that's the case, Texas Tech's going to be they're going to be one of the scariest teams in the conference, no doubt. Before we go here, the last time I talked to you, we were talking about the Houston Rockets. You were getting really hyped up about them playing the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. You came on here, you talked a lot of smack. The Golden State Warriors fans came into the chat, and they were very upset. They were, just kind of doing their Golden State Warriors thing. And they didn't have a lot of nice words to say to us. But since then, we have a big KD trade. You guys are able to snatch DFS away from the Los Angeles Lakers, having a little bit of a reunion with Clint Capella. Like this has to be like one of the more optimistic, seasons heading into for the Houston Rockets in like, I don't know, like since 2018, and if not then, like I don't even know when.
Yeah, I mean, so we're back to being contenders. And when I say contenders, I don't mean that I'm not planning the parade already. I'm just saying that we're in contention, right? I've seen a lot of people that say that we are now just one step below OKC, and I think I would agree with that.
Okay.
Right? Where you have OKC as like the top team in the West, and then us in Denver right below them. And I think that makes sense. The main thing is, and we were talking about a pre-pod, is that though we lost the Warriors in the first round, we pushed them to 7, and I was actually happy with the performance of everybody on the team but one person, and that one person is no longer on the team. Right, Jalen Green was about as bad as you could be for 6 of the 7 games in that series you could possibly be. So he's no longer on the team, and you bring in a legend. And I think most Rocket fans, me included, aren't acting like we just traded for prime KD that is 29 years old that's going to set the world on fire. I think we know that we're not getting the same KD that went to the Warriors and at one point was considered the best player in the world. However, we are still getting a Kevin Durant that averaged 26 on a near 50, 40, 90 year last year, right? I saw some clips the other day
and on that team, they're asking him to play like elite defense. That's what they needed from him, and obviously he couldn't do it because he's like 37 years old. And now in Houston, he's just go ahead.
His defense actually was, though they did ask him to play elite defense, was kind of a little absurd. But his defense was actually better than you would expect for a 37-year-old. I mean,
yeah.
For Laker fans that watch LeBron, if y'all are real with yourselves, LeBron's like, I'm too old to play defense. So Kevin Durant at least is actually playing some defense there. And so, I'm not expecting too much. But even if, last year Jalen Green averaged about 20, 21 points a game. Right? Even if Kevin Durant does the exact same thing he did last year, that is a 5-point-a-game increase at a much higher efficiency. Right? And so I think pairing him with Şengün, who I think rose to the playoff level that he needed to be at, which I was happy to see. And the most important person, in my opinion, for the Rockets organization, even more important than acquiring Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson's development. Because what I saw at the end of the year last year with Amen Thompson, the last few months of the year last year, I saw a player that was on the trajectory. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to get there. There's a lot of players that are on the trajectory that never make it, right? We thought Brandon Jennings, after he hit a 50-point shot, was going to be the next great point guard. But, when you compare Amen Thompson in year 2 to guys like Kawhi Leonard, to guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, to guys like Ben Simmons, he's already ahead of where those guys are, right? And so, like, I see that. I mean, you're seeing a lot of off-season workouts of him shooting, getting in the gym. I think he worked with he's working this offseason with one of the most popular shooting coaches in the league, right? So, like, that development, I see it. If that happens naturally, if he gets, I'm throwing this name out there, but if he gets to Kawhi, because when I look at Amen, like in year 2, look at year 2 of Kawhi in San Antonio, look at Amen year 2, it looks like the same person. If he continues how Kawhi continued, and we didn't really see Kawhi become Kawhi really until the playoffs of year 3. But I would even argue, because that's when he won Finals MVP, but I would even argue year 4 is when you really saw that ascension. If that actually happens, that matters so much more than even acquiring Kevin Durant. Like that's what I'm most focused on, and seeing if, like, does Amen actually take that next step. But as far as Durant and next year and the way the team is set up, I love most of the moves we've done this year. I wish we could have kept Cam Whitmore, but he's not somebody that's going to make or break this team. Really need Reed Shepard to play a lot better than he did in the summer league. But again, him coming off the bench or him being in the G League is not going to make or break this team. I think the starting 5 is great. Re-signing Fred VanVleet is great. A good combination of youth and veteran leadership. And again, I think this team is ready to compete. And the ceiling, I do think, is the finals or potentially a championship, because especially with the new CBA, up to 5 or 6 teams can win it every year, right? But I think the Western Conference Finals at the very least, like that should be where this team is looking to get.
Yeah, and if not that, maybe like just a dog fight in the second round against like OKC or Denver or something like that. Exactly. It's going to be a fun year for Houston, and just honestly the rest of the NBA next year. Maybe not the Eastern Conference, but the West. The West will be fun.
Isn't that how we say every year? You know what I mean?
Well, this year it's different.
I will say, if you're the Knicks, right? Because I know, like, last year was the quote unquote the greatest chance ever for the Knicks. But, like, next year really is the greatest chance ever for the Knicks. Like, you got to do it next year. All right, like, that's why I'm so, like, I think they're so dumb for firing what's his name? Because I'm like,
Tibbs.
It's you in Cleveland. That's it. Everybody else is hurt. It's really just you in Cleveland.
And LeBron's gonna go to one of them, maybe. Maybe. All right, Albie, do you want to tell us where we can all find your work, and then we'll head out of here?
Yeah, Tortillas and Takes. We are winding down the summer here. We typically have about an episode every week. As we get into football season, that'll ramp up to 2. So if you want to follow along to all the good Texas Tech and Big 12 news, definitely go on to Tortillas and Takes everywhere you get podcasts. Tortillas and the Takes, the letter N, on Twitter. For Jeremy likes putting all types of memes and jokes on there. So we're a good time. We're a good time. So listen up.
Awesome. Thanks, man. And yeah, everyone else listening, subscribe to this podcast. You haven't done so already. This is Texas week right now. We're doing all of the Texas schools at once, or at least trying to. I got some other ones set up this week. We already did one with Baylor. We did one with Texas A&M last week. So this is Texas week. So maybe if you just hate watched for the last 30 minutes, go ahead and you can actually do a fun watch with another season preview. So again, thank you for watching.